The subject of tonight's debate is it good to believe in God? In this sense, it may be said that God is on trial here this evening, or belief in God, depending upon your perspective. By God, we mean the Christian God.
Our objection, my objection on our side, to the concept of a divine supremacy is this, that it refers all the undecidable, agonizing questions of our species, of our being. How shall we live? How shall we make the just city? Is there a point to our existence? How are we to consider the rights and duties that we have one with and to another? And many, many other extremely arduous and terrible questions that no one human generation will ever solve or is ever going to be able to solve, and refers them upward to a totalitarian, absolutist, unanswerable monarch, and says, only this tyrant can decide. And without him, we would have no knowledge of ethics or morality or realism or any of these questions. It is the beginning of servility. It's the beginning of abjection. It is the definition of the master-slave relationship. It's what needs to be broken in our mentality before we can be free. It is the reason for the Virginia Statute on Religious Liberty. It is the reason for the First Amendment for the Constitution. It is the reason for the idea of the separation of church and state, that it cannot be, it may not be, theologically legislated. The manner in which we discuss philosophy, morals, ethics, and all the other great questions that will always agitate us, and to which there is, it can be fairly said, no end. If I make no other point this evening, if I leave nothing else in your mind, I'll be grateful if you've listened just that far.
You might ask, why do we accept these exotic Christian doctrines, the fall, the resurrection, the miracles, Jesus, and so on? In some ways, I would put it sort of this way. I would begin with a proposition I think that there's no one in this room would deny. Things are not as they ought to be. Is there anyone who disputes that? Things are not as they ought to be. Now, if things are not as they ought to be, it follows that we live on two levels. Here's the way we are as human beings, and here's the way that all of us, in some senses, understand that we should be. You may say the level of what is, and the level of what should be. The human level, and you may say the divine level. The distance between those two levels is what Christians mean when we use the term the fall. And in some ways, all the religions of the world are efforts to bridge this enormous chasm between what is the case and what ought to be the case.
I know a lot of atheists, many of them former believers, who say they wish they could believe, or they have nostalgia for the time when they could go to confession or go to Mass and believe in the sacraments or whatever it might be, or they miss the time that they could say Allahu Akbar and really mean it, or go to the Wailing Wall and press a piece of paper into a man-made structure and think that they were communicating directly with Yahweh. They stopped being able to believe it. They wish they still could. I say, why do you miss it? Why do you want to be a slave? Why do you want to be a serf? Why do you want Big Brother to be in charge? Do you wish it to be true that there is someone who has you under permanent, round-the-clock supervision and surveillance, who knows what you think even when you are asleep, who can convict you, I borrow again from the Big Brother analogy, of thought crime, and who can condemn you forever to eternal penalty and torture if you make the smallest mistake, who creates you sick, who makes you a sinner, who says you are originally wicked, and then orders you to be well and to recover on penalty of torture. What is this but the most horrific sadomasochistic prostration of the human personality before the most interstellar coldness of authority and tyranny?
Someone asked Christopher earlier, have you actually given any thoughtful consideration to the Bible? You notice he didn't say yes, because the answer seems to be no. He attacks a Christianity that he constantly misdescribes and mischaracterizes. Let me give a couple of examples of why what I think his stronger arguments don't hold up. He says that our religion is a product of where we were born. True, but that is in some ways what you could call the genetic fallacy. If you and I were born in Papua New Guinea, most likely we would subscribe to worship the local deities, but neither would we believe Darwin's theory of evolution. We are very unlikely to accept Einstein's proposition that E equals mc squared, conduct a vote among the Papua New Guineans, and see how they come out on that one. The truth of Darwinism or Einstein or Christianity has nothing to do with whether or not we come to believe it because of where we were born. That's a fallacy. Christopher also allied himself with Freud's idea, which is that religion is a form of wish fulfillment. I believe it because I wish it to be true. Now imagine we all got in this room here this evening and we felt that life was tough. We have all kinds of ailments, diabetes, death is waiting for us. So we're going to make up a religion to make us feel good. I can completely see how we'd come up with the idea of heaven, which fits anyone's definition of wish fulfillment. Eternal bliss, no suffering, no pain. I really don't see why we would come up with the idea of hell. Why? Because hell is worse than diabetes. Hell is worse than anything we would experience on earth. So why would a wish-fulfilling Jew or Christian come up not only with hell, but all these strictures of Christian morality, the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do that. If this was all a matter of wish fulfillment, I'd get up and strike 3 of them myself.
I invite you, you don't have to say anything, you don't have to applaud, you don't have to say yes, you don't have to say no. I would be very surprised if any of you thinks, I can't believe in the brotherhood without the fatherhood. I would be astonished. I myself, at any rate, can manage to do so. And I'm as glad of the amendment to the preamble of the Constitution that was made by Benjamin Franklin, a definite, a certifiable atheist, provable atheist, who said we hold these truths to be self-evident. Possibly the most muscular statement made in the preamble, because they don't require any supernatural endorsement. Because yes, we think that these things are innate, that we have these rights as a species, or we don't have them at all. But to claim that we have them and we need divine permission for them is somewhat over-egging the pudding.
The meaning of self-evident is not that we don't need God for it. It means it's not evident at all. It's a moral, not a factual proposition. Because people are not equal in strength or speed or beauty or intelligence or any quality that we could specify. The self-evident means that there is a moral equality. And I want to ask you, what is its Darwinian origin?
Well, we could have gone the way that we know for sure thing 98.9% of all species ever to have existed on this earth have gone to extinction. Now, I have to return the question, therefore. What designer did that to 98.9% of all of the species he ever created, and nearly to us too? If you're going to argue for that authority, if you're going to say that's the one in which you put your faith, you only rephrase the question. This God, this king, this tyrant, this creator, this organizer must be either A, very capricious, or very cruel, or very clumsy, or very incompetent, or possibly entirely indifferent, or all 4 or 5. So you have not advanced 1 millimeter towards an explanation by proposing that all of these extraordinary events require a belief in a God. And you have suggested, though, that you would be willing to worship someone who was tyrannical to a degree unknown, unimaginable, undreamed of in the history of human despotism. You cannot get out of that moral and intellectual dilemma. Nothing you have said this evening, and I predict nothing you will say, will extricate you from it either.
I'm happy to try to answer the question while noting that you sidestepped mine. But the...
Wait. Wait. No, there's to be no demagogy.
It's now on my time.
No, someone has to get up, someone who clapped has to get up and say what I sidestepped.
Ladies and gentlemen, now is an opportunity to come forward to the mics. If you would like to ask questions, let me tell you, what you're hearing on the stage tonight is nothing compared to the car ride over here.